Jack and the Two-Bullet Hunt, retold by Amy L. Cohn and Susie Schmidt. Tales about a lazy, but lucky, fellow named Jack are told all over the southern Appalachian Mountains. One time, away back years ago, there was a boy named Jack. He and his folk lived off in the mountains, and they were awful poor, just didn't have a thing. Jack had two brothers, Will and Tom, and they are in some of the Jack tales, but this one, there's mostly just Jack in it. Jack was awful lazy sometimes, just wouldn't do ary a lick of work. His mother and his daddy kept trying to get him to help, but they couldn't do a thing with him when he took a lazy spell, but they just kept trying. So one cold December morning, Jack's daddy stood beside Jack in the yard, looked at rabbit tracks in the snow, looked at Jack, and said, "Son, at the end of them tracks is your breakfast." Jack got his old single barrel and the only two shells he had and started out. Jack walked on, walked on. After following the tracks around the hill a piece, he started getting tired and stopped to rest. Just then he heard a fluttering sound above him. He looked up and saw 9 wild turkeys land on a tree limb in a big sweet gum. "Can't pass them up," said Jack, and fired away. Jack was so close that the charge split the tree limb, and the turkeys caught their toes in the crack and beat each other to death, flapping their wings. All Jack had to do was climb up and get 'em. "I got 9 turkeys," said Jack, "but I still don't have that rabbit." So he traveled on, traveled on. The tracks led him down the hill, and he stepped along after 'em. "Whoa," cried Jack, sliding down through the snow. "What's that?" A big grizzly bear and a wild boar came tumbling toward him, fighting for dear life. Well, Jack didn't think he had a chance. He just threw his gun down, closed his eyes, and threw out his arms, hoping to protect himself. The bear ran right into one of them, and Jack's hand went down its throat and out the other end. So Jack grabbed the bear's tail and turned him inside out. When the old boar saw that there wasn't anything else around to fight, he started butting Jack from behind with his 6-inch tusks. Jack got so tired of landing flat on his rear that he just gave up. "I'll just hide behind this tree," said Jack, "till it's all over." But the boar kept coming. When that boar rammed his 6-inch tusks into the 5-inch tree, Jack bent down, picked up a rock, and bashed him down with it. "You're caught," said Jack. "Now I got 9 turkeys and 2 flavors of big game, but I still don't have that rabbit." So Jack ambled on, along after those rabbit tracks till he got to the creek bank. He looked up on the creek, and there, flying right close together, were 9 wild ducks. Jack looked on down the creek. "Whoa," he said, "there's 9 wild geese." Then Jack heard a buzzing sound. He turned and stood face to face with a coiled-up rattlesnake. Hadn't more than a second to think what to do, so he just fired away, and Jack's old gun blew right up. Well, the barrel went up the creek and killed the 9 wild ducks. The stock went down the creek and killed the 9 wild geese. The bullet ricocheted off a stone and hit the rattlesnake between the eyes. The kick of the gun knocked Jack head over heels backward right into the creek. "Whoa," said Jack, wiping his eyes. "There's that darn rabbit." He paddled out of the cold water, intent on catching it. But when he came out on land, his pockets were so full of fish, he couldn't hardly move. The weight of those fish made a button pop off Jack's overalls. "Whoa," said Jack, and watched the button fly over and kill that rabbit. Well, Jack took the rabbit, the fish, the rattlesnake, the geese, the ducks, the boar, the bear, and the turkeys, and put out for home to cook his breakfast. And the last time I went to see him, he was a-doing real well.